Hello, welcome to The Honest Wargamer. I'm your host, Rob. Welcome to Stream Sheet Day 423. Ignore the Twitch chat. It's how I start my day. Hello, yes, correct, everyone. I've stolen Adam Troke's outfit. Thank you. In preparation for tonight, I've decided to dress the same. Hello to all you wonderful people in the Twitch chat. Propagation, Bobbum, Winner Dave, Will Dockerall, sorry again, Ryzen Watarian, Gypsy Danger, Scott B, Diadrin, what's up, thanks Duck Guts. Hello everyone, welcome to the show. Today's show, I'm going to be discussing the lists from the Return to Thundertome, or the Thundertome event being run by Owen this weekend. We're not doing the coverage this weekend because I just simply have too much stuff to do. We've got the venue to sort, we've got event packs to do, I've got event planning and a bunch of other stuff. Like, it's just too much with the Super Series not long away. So unfortunately we won't be doing the coverage, but the lists are very interesting things to look through because of how the tournament's been set up, because there's a comp pack in place for the tournament. So that's one of the things that we're going to be looking through. I want to say a massive thank you to all of you, obviously, for tuning in before we get started. I want to thank all my podcast homies for staying hydrated and loving their life. And I also want to thank all the thugs and gangsters over in the YouTube comments. Get wild, get crazy. When Scrivo doesn't upload the right files, I want to see you guys get in pretty gnarly. Love you all. You're all terrifying individuals. Hey, Matt Readiness. Hey, Dan, the great Gamer Khan. Hope you're well. Hello, Diadrin, I guess. Lies, we're both wonderful and brilliant. Rhapsody Blue, you are. Anyway, right, let's talk through this. So, I'll quickly bring up. Have I got a shot of it for you guys to see? No, I haven't. Let me tell you what's going on. So, there's a 2-day TTS event this weekend, a bit run by Owen, and he's put in like some restrictions, specifically like a hard/soft comp system. So effectively, if your army is really good, it gets 200 points less. If your army is really bad, it gets 200 points more. So 2,200 for the armies perceived to be not very good, 2,000 points for the armies in the middle, and then the good armies, they only get 1,800 points. Yeah, so it's going to be fascinating. Looking through this, and the data is actually really interesting. So, what if you're really, really bad? You're still, unfortunately, in the 2,200 point bracket. And also, Sam the Great, thank you for pointing out. Also, no named characters, and then no allies. So that really changes it up. I quite like no named characters, no allies. I'm just going to point that out there. Like, I get on the back of a pretty prodigious year for Games Workshop, kicking out some amazing named characters. We've got Croak, we've got Kragnos, we've got Fatacross, obviously that's not his name, Gortos or Scullion. We've had some amazing centerpiece models that have been named. The Gargants didn't have any name. They had Whalebite, didn't they? Is he a named character? No, I don't think so. So yeah, no named characters I think is also pretty key. And I think I would like to see tournaments just with no named characters. I think that would be really fun. I think the 2,200, 2,000, 1,800 point system may be a little bit polarizing for some people, but I think a lot of people can definitely get behind the no-name characters sort of situation. Personally, sad times, no scar, bloodwrath. I agree with you. Yeah. Are Gobblepaloos a named character? They're not actually characters, are they? Which is why you can take loads of them. Hey, Mandollies. Army composition in Oz was what would be an actual army for race faction in question, i.e. certain Craftworlds and Eldar would have particular aspect warriors. Dire Avengers more common in some, in others Dark Reapers. Army comp was higher for more themeless and adhered to the backgrounds as Mandoli. So interesting. It's been a thing that's happened time and time again. Obviously, I think one of the things about wait, is Rob advocating comp? How dare he? The hobby police will be after him soon. I think what's nice is giving gamers the options. There's an event where you have no name characters, and there's an event where you have named characters, and you get to have fun based on that. I think that's what's really interesting. So I'm willing to talk about that. Also, I'd like you all to know that I've definitely done something to my spine. I'm not sure what it is. Can't really turn much, and so also not slept. So this could be interesting. But I love you all. Thanks for being here. We'll also be live again tonight for the 40k reaction stream, whatever time that's going to be. Some other time. It's going to be nice. No. I just slept funny. 3 days ago, I woke up and I couldn't turn. and I don't know what it is. And it's not like a trap nerve, it's something lower. So anyway, shout out to Bobbin, who's getting his vaccination today. Love you. And did I injure my spine fighting Adam Troke for his shirt? I want you to know that this is a much nicer shirt than Adam Troke's shirt. I just want to point that out. Just don't want to go there. Right, okay, let's look at these lists, shall we? And let's look at some of the information. So let me just bring this up in the chat for you guys to see. Right, here we go. Right, so Stream Street Day 1. Fuck you all, Twitch chat. Fuck you all. Neil says, jokes aside, I agree. Comp allows you to create a more fun event for the less competitive players. I think what it does is, like, and this is kind of like something that I've been like very serious about for the past couple of months now. Comp, no comp, competitive edge, not competitive edge, balance, not balance. Like, you know, we talked about with the Drakari stuff, we've talked about it with Age of Sigmar time again. What I really want is people to have fun at the weekends. It's all I care about now. That's my driving force. And if it's comp that makes people have more fun, then that's cool. If it's aircon that makes people have fun, that's cool. If it's hour breaks or getting up, starting events at 10 a.m., that's cool. What's more fun for players? That's what I give a fuck about. And so that's what I care about. Right, so looking at the comp system, I've got this up. Let me just quickly talk about the stats, because I think the stats are pretty interesting in this one. So let's go to this. So let me tell you what you can take. If you are a rubbish army, so according to Owen, these are Beasts of Chaos, Blades of Khorne, Bone Splitters, Flesh Eater Courts, Gloomspite Gits, Nighthaunt, Hedonites of Slanesh, and Sylvaneth, you can take 2,200 points. If you are a bad guy, that is Daughters of Cain, Disciples of Tzeentch, Fire Slayers, Idoneth Deepkin, Kharadron Overlords, Lumineth Realm Lords, Ogre Moor Tribes, and Seraphon, you can only have 1,800 points. Yeah? Then level 2. Hey, did you all enjoy me being live yesterday for the reveal for the boxed games, and then again for the 40k show? So effectively, arguably live twice yesterday as part of a continuing series of days of being live for over 423 days. Let's just talk about that. Let's talk about the 2 shows I did yesterday where you were all present for. Anyway. Right, does that count? It does count, because I've done days when we didn't do a streak show because we were doing live coverage. Anyway, like, it's fine. Yeah, I did know what would happen, and that makes it more fun, if anything. Right, so then in the 2,000 point category, Cities of Sigmar, Big War, Ironjaws, Legion of Grief, Magickin and Nurgle, Ossiarch Bone Reapers, Skaven, Slaves to Darkness, Sons of Behemoth, and Stormcast Eternals. Thank you to Ghost Run Nero for the subscription. That's awesome, all the way through to June. Big love to you. Thanks, everyone, for subscribing and being here. Right, so I guess the question to you guys, and you guys can see it on the screen now with the faction breakdown, is what did you expect to happen? So I think going into it, I expected the people who could have more toys take more toys. And that seems to have been basically the situation, pretty much. Yeah, and the people who weren't allowed as many points, not allowed, they wouldn't bring as many of those armies. Some of those who we would have seen as very dominant before, for instance, Tzeentch, we always see a lot of Tzeentch, and as you can see here, I don't think we have any Tzeentch. I'm pretty certain. Yeah, I checked. So there is no Tzeentch, so at 1,800 points. In fact, actually, the highest rated bad guy army, so Seraphon, there were three Seraphon armies at this event at 1,800 points. The most popular army is Cities of Sigmar, still at 2,000 points. Then you've got Khorne, 5 armies of those at 2,200 points, so they're allowed more. And then it's pretty much all 2,200 points. So Khorne at 5, then Bone Splitters and Flesh Eater Courts at 4 armies apiece. So again, 2,200 points. There was a restriction on the amount of duplicates sent the Great. We won't be streaming this tourney. No, I'm sorry. I've just got too much to do. So we won't be doing it. I'm sure Owen will talk about it on Monday. It'll be really cool to catch up on it. We just don't have time. So sorry about that, guys. And then we got Gits, and I would. It's just too much. Then we got Gits and Seraphon, both are 3 armies apiece. Gits, 3 armies, and they're at 2,200. And then finally Slanesh with another 3 instances with 2,200. And in fact, most of the armies who got given extra points, really, they brought most of those, like Sylvaneth example. There's 2 Sylvaneth armies again in that 2,200 points. So it generally looks like in this situation that if you allow people to have more points, they'll take it over having a more powerful army. And I think, I love you, Twitch chat. never, ever cut me an inch of slack. Not a fucking inch. Yeah. Because I'll run with it. Not an inch. Yeah, love you all. Right, so it seemed that the YouTube thugs won't, so you guys don't either. Right, so it seems like if you have got more points to play with, people are going to run that, which I find interesting. What I think is a swing point here is Cities of Sigmar being the most popular army at 2,000 points. Cities of Sigmar can build some very, very competitive armies, but also some very fun armies at 2,000 points. So I think Cities of Sigmar is probably the most exciting battle tome to kind of create armies out of, because you've just got such a breadth of units and it's got such a variety of playstyles that you want to run around with. And so ultimately, I would see why that was maybe the most popular, sticking at 2,000 points, and then everyone else just seeing how many extra toys they can fit in. Also, Cities of Sigmar don't use named characters. Almost never have named characters in them. They don't care. So again, I think that works really well into Cities of Sigmar. Rise of Mortarion, a 400-point gap is huge. I agree with you. Yeah, I agree with you. I think that 400-point gap, and that's what's so interesting, right? How are our 3 Seraphon players with 1,800 points going to do versus our Khorne army with 2,000 points and our Bone Splitters army with 2,200 points? It's going to be interesting. Mundolly says Swedish comp back in the day changed point values. Unfortunately, they made a mistake making Beastmen have giants, Gorgons, Cygons 100 points. They finally found a cheap as useful chaff. Right, I think what this is, and that Owen has done so well as well. So shout out to Owen. And I would love to know YouTube comments, Twitch chat comments, or just tweet at us how you feel. I think this is such a nice way of dealing with the comp conversation for everyone without it being too granular. Without it being too fucky, right? I think that's really key. Obviously, the 40k community at the minute are in uproar about Drukhari, and I think that's super fair, right? Whereas, if you just docked them 100 points at tournaments at the minute and be like, let's see how they do for the next 4 months at 1,900 points. If they still smash it, you're in a good spot. It's really easy to kind of you just reduce the pool from what they can choose from. And I think it's just a nice element without going in and doing tailored attacks, because lots of that space. I like it anyway. Big fan. I'm just going to say that. On this Wargamer, the Seraphon players in the Hammer Time chat seemed fine with 1,800 points. They swapped the Crooknader for a Slan. Tavi said he felt fine at 1,300. I mean, that's a whole conversation there. What's interesting is Daughters of Cain are also in that 1,800 bracket, and I'd be fascinated to see how those lists go. I just play more ogres because I like the fat boys. Says Superfly Jimmy Snooker. I'm shite, so it's really no consequence to me how good they are. Thinking of pouring myself out, though, so I can fudge the stats. That's it. If you're not very good and you love your army, just tank the stats, man. Just go 0 to 5. Yeah, be my friend Collaroo. Yeah, who just wants a 0-5 World Eater, so they just get more buffs, not nerfs. That's his plan. That's his tactic. I think it works. I'm tempted to go back and find when I suggested this and you shit all over the idea, says ZipZap Rap. Go for it. Go back for it. And if I did, I apologize. Yeah, and again, I'm not suggesting this is a world thing. I'm not saying everyone in the world should do this. I'm just saying it's a nice idea for this event. That's what I'm saying. Does it want to be the thing that we do worldwide? I don't agree. I don't think that that's the case. But it allows TOs around the world to do that. If you're a TO and you're like, I want to make my event more fun for my players, here you go. I would love to, Neil. We'll do that. 100% we'll do that at some point. Did anyone complain about their army only being at 1,800? Doubt it. AoS is chill compared to 40k anyway. I think 40k is chill, man. I just think, again, some leadership is super valuable. It's always valuable, right? Sigmar community's just got some, lunatics. Nathan Prescott, Dan Sway, yeah, Owen Jackson. You're not messing about with those boys. They're just having an adventure. Yeah, they're only here for the jokes. So, right, okay, let's look through some of the list, shall we, and see what you think. Although I would like to know what your thoughts are generally. I think the best part of this is no-name characters. I think the no-name characters is probably more important. Like, I would like to see 2,000 point tournaments with no-name characters, I think. Just regular, we're playing 2,000 points and no-name characters. I think that would be cool. The risk comes for players at the top tables and those at the bottom. The top players may be able to absorb a few 100-point deficit, but will disproportionately impact the mid and bottom tables and constrain their faction choices. Shelf loathing, I think Yes. Who are you trying to impact, I think? I think ultimately, though, like, having let's call them like a more casual gamer with a 1,800-point Seraphon army takes away giving a bazooka to a baby. I think that's a valuable choice for us as a community. Just be like, hello, I'm new, and it's like, cool, here's a bazooka. It just doesn't make any sense. You just say, cool, you're running the army, you're really like, yeah, I like this, like, and they're not just winning by happenstance without really knowing what's going on. Who do you think no-named impacts characters the most? Chaos, 100%. Kairos, Archeon, we saw that build so much. Be'lakor, also really important as well. Obviously Seraphon, Kroak, and the Kroaknado, but we've seen a whole bunch of lists that I don't think you'll need the Kroaknado. I just think it's nice that it's like you have the Skink smashing it, the Salamander smashing it, you have all those buffs doing really, really well, and then by happenstance you have a Kroaknado on top. Whereas, like, I think it really, really, really affects Chaos, the whole Grand Alliance, like whichever you run in. And then I guess Warhammer Rob says OBR, I guess because of the Catacross build, ultimately. But I think there's a lot of builds that aren't Catacross. Although we did see in the Stat Center that Mortis Praetorians generally does better than anyone else. No repeat choice for Seraphon is more castrating than any other limit, says Forgive. Yeah, I think maybe the culmination of those comps is really important as well. Banning the Maggoth Lords also really kicks Circle in the teeth. It's true. Those 3 Maggoth Lords, I'm sick of seeing them on the table. I don't know about anyone else. I'm sick of seeing the Horticulix Slimmux builds and all of the Maggoth Lords. If anything, they've been too prevalent in the meta, and I'm sick of it. I'm sick of seeing them on those tables. I wish I could try Kroaknado, but you can't buy a Vortex anywhere. Gorkamorka, there's some 3D printed ones you can buy, man. Go on Etsy. 100%. Age of Senmar says, Ineth without Volty. You think that? I think there's some decent builds without Volty. I just think, yeah, that's fine. I understand what you're saying. People, I kind of like the rule of 3. It should be a core thing. That's an interesting take as well. Don't forget Epidemius. Yeah, get Rob. Fuck. Sick of it. Sure, I'm sick of seeing Puskor Blight Lords as well. Sick of seeing them in the lists. They're everywhere. There's just too many. There's just too many, is what I'm going to say. You just don't know how the Stormcast players will cope without Gardas and his +1 to hit. Yeah, that's... Right, let's look through some of these lists. And again, if you just missed it, City's the most popular, Khorne in 5, Bone Splitters and FVC with 4 armies each. They're at 2,200 points. Khorne with 5 armies is at 2,200. Gits at 3, along with Sinesh with 2,200, and then Seraphon at 1,800. So let's just go through this. Khorne, first off, by Alan Joynes. This is a hot take. That he's got the Blood Secretor, the Slaughter Priest, another Slaughter Priest. He's got the Fly of Blood Warriors, the 210 Blood Reavers. Then he's thrown in, this is crazy, for 1,000 points here. Well, 1,120. 2 units of 6 Varangard in there, and then it's all in Gore Pilgrims and the 2 Chaos War Shrines. So obviously them having the Slaves to Darkness keyword and being in Khorne, he's going to be able to do a lot of work with them. I really like that, and again, that's Khorne with 2,200 points, so able to get Alan and his bloody loopholes. So I got some... So that's basically putting a Slaves to Darkness army inside a Khorne army. Semp the Great, thank you for subscribing and gifting a gift subscription in the chat. That's so awesome of you. Thank you. Wolfen Studios, banning characters. What are the Heat Knight players going to do without Shalaxi? That one attack, that one spear attack. How will they ever live? You know, if someone FAQ'd Shellac, no, just a community comment, they were like, Shalaxi, 2 attacks on a spear. I'd be like, cool, man. Cool. Like, zero pushback. Sure, I'll go tweet it later. We'll see. We'll see how we do later. Shelf Loathing says, no name characters is what I play already. I want my army to be mine, not Marathi's or Volturnus's. Shelf Loathing, I kind of agree. Right, Alexander Ford with his OC Arc. So OC Arc's in that 2,000 bracket. Not anything we haven't seen before. But of course, without named characters, we've got Liege Kavalos, Mortis and Bone Shaper, another Bone Shaper, and then he's got 19 Mortek Guard and 2 Harvesters and the Shield Corps. So again, all those points taken out from having Catacross. I think one of the things for some of these players is going to be interesting in seeing not having something like Catacross in that list, like how much of a point sink was he and how much they enjoy having the additional like 40 Mortek Guard in that list, I guess is the real question. So then here's the Sinesh list, and this is wild. When you read the Sinesh list, don't forget there's an additional 200 points in this list. Keeper of Secrets, Contorted Epitome. Alright, fair enough. Or Epitome. 10 Hellstriders with Hell Scourges, 2 units of 5 Hellstriders, 2 units of 10 Slick Blades, the Seeker Cavalcade, the battalion, and then Mesmerizing Mirror and an extra command point. Like, that's... doesn't sound like a lot, like, when you think about it like that. It's, like, you really like, that's an army. It's like, actually, it's an extra 200 points in that army. So, that's pretty nuts. Asura is running in the name of Scar Bloodwrath because he can't be taken. A Bloodthirster of Incessant Rage, a Bloodthirster of Infested Fury. So this is Baleful Lords, so a load of Bloodthirsters. Bloodthirster of Incessant Rage, Bloodsecrator, and then the Exalted Greater Demon of Khorne. 3 lots of 10 Blood Breathers, and it's all in Tyrants of Blood. So that's an additional 2,000. That's an additional 200 points. That's a 2,200 point army. Just being able to squeeze in the Exalted Greater Demon of Khorne, which is pretty wild. Charles Holland, my man Colonel Cabbage, running a Gav Spawn with a Doom Ball. Now, these guys have got an additional 200 points as well. So he's been running this list fairly consistently. So the double Doom Ball and the Great Bray Shaman. Then he's got the 2 units of Bulgors and the 10 Ungor. And then he's got 2 units of 10 Bestigor. Sorry. Then he's got those 2 Chaos Spawn, 2 lots of 10 Ungor Raiders, and then 2 Gorgon in the Brastus Borders and the Depraved Drove. So I've seen him run something very similar to this. So like he would have only been able to fit in. I think he's even run the double Gorgon. So I think maybe he's only been able to add in the Depraved Drove element and make it a 2-drop, which I think is pretty cool. But he's run most of this before. Those 2 units of 6 Bulgors I've seen him run. And it's also 69 bodies. Very nice. Very nice Cabbage. Right, Daniil. So this is a 2,000 point list. This is a this is a 2,000 point list from Cities of Sigmar. He's got so again regular 2,000 points. Tempest Eye. We've seen this be the most successful competitively in the Stat Center. If you guys want to go back and watch the show from Monday. Cities of Sigmar, Tempest Eye, Celestial Hurricanum, who's the general. Then 2 lots of 10 Ironbreakers, a unit of Longbeards. Then 2 lots of 10 Shadow Warriors. 2 single Gyrocopters, 2 units of Ether Wings, and then 2 Arcanaut Ironclads. Really suffers for bodies on the board. There's 117 wounds that isn't going to get them back. I like the Tempest Eye with the +1 to wound. I think is really interesting on all of their weapons. I think that's interesting on the Ironclads. And then using the Aether Wings and the single Gyrocopters to try and like control the board. But there is not a lot of bodies there. So they're looking to do a lot of output, ultimately, from those Ironclads. Then Bone Splitters, an additional 200 points of Bone Splitters here. And then you've got, as Bone Splitters players apparently like to do, an additional battalion. So Teeth Ruck, Brutal Ruck, Cop Ruck. And then there's 2 units of Savage Big Stabbers. So that could be your extra 200 points there. And then it's 5 Savage Ball Boy Maniacs, 2 lots of 10 Savage Uruks, 30 Savage Uruks as a brick, 10 Savage Ball Boys as a brick as well. They normally come in 5s. Then it's 2 War Dogs, a Wurgog Prophet, a Savage Big Boss, another Savage Big Boss as well. So they don't normally run with named characters, so there's no drama for them. And just more bodies. They generally tend to win by just having bodies anyway, Bone Splitters. And let's not forget, they don't do very well anyway. Damage output is their real problem as an army. They can take damage because they've just got a lot of wounds, because 2 wounds on the boys. But really, it's those inclusion, those 2 units of Savage Big Stabbers. He's looking to control all of the board space to make sure the Big Stabbers can do the work, ultimately. Right, Diplom Bandit is also running a Bone Splitters army. He's got Savage Big Boss twice. He's got 2 War Dogs and a Wargo Prophet, and then he's gone for all the boys. So he's got those 230 Savage Uruk boys. He's got 10 Savage Ball Boys, 5 Savage Ball Boys, and then he's got 8 Big Stabbers in 1 brick. and then double brutal ruck in there as well. So he's a similar thing. He's got more bodies. He's not as MSUE. He can't control the board space quite as much. But I mean, this pack generally runs into Bone Splitters quite nicely because they're happy. They take a multiple of units. They don't use name characters, and they want more bodies on the board. So 8 big stabbers is sexy. Love that. Another Bone Splitters list. There were 3 Bone Splitters. Did I miss this on the stats? So this is Bone Grins. So Savage Big Boss, 2 War Docs, and a Weird Knob. 30 Savage Orcs, 20 Savage Orcs, 2 lots of 5 Ball Boys. And then it's I think this is Snagger Rook, Cop Rook, Brutal Rook. Is this the same list? Might be the same list. So I've talked about that already. Which factions benefit suffer most from the name character rules? I said this before. I think it's Hamsfan. I think it's Chaos ultimately, and you can just pick. It's the whole Grand Alliance. Be'lakor, Archaon, Kairos, all being gone is pretty massive. And does it affect Khorne? Not as much, I guess. Right, okay, so Philip Nika is running a Gloomspike Gits list, Jaws of Mork, with an additional 200 points. So he's got a Loon Boss and Giant Cave Squig, he's got a Loon Boss, Madcap Shaman, and a Fungoid Cave Shaman as well. He's got 40 Stabbers, 2 lots of 20 Stabbers, then he's got 2 units of Sneaky Snufflers, he's got 2 units of 15 Boingrot Bounders that are 300 points each, and then he's got 9 Rock Gut Troggoths. And then he's also got the battalion, the Moon Jumper Stampede, of course, Scuttletide, pretty much the first 30 points on a Gits list. But I would say that this is really, really good because he's got like 3 threats where normally you generally tend to have 2 threats in a Gits list. So these 2 units of Boingrots can get sneaky snuffled up and do some really good work. The Rock Guts are going to tank some damage and they're going to fight in the midfield, which is really good. And then you've got 40 Stabbers and 2 lots of 20 Stabbers. So you've got so many wounds in this army. It's wow, 219 wounds. You're going to be able to bring elements of those. You're going to be able to bring those Boingrot Bounders back when they die, so you can send them off in kind of waves. Use them to punch some stuff, get them snuffled up, so they do a bunch of work, and then you can bring them back in the backfield. So I think that's really nice. And Colonel Cabbage, thank you. There seems to be a real horde meta in this event. The mean number of wounds is 149. So yes. It looks like basically you give people more points, they just take more bodies, right? So yeah, I would say that's an interesting take. If you give people more points, what do they do with those more points? And this is the only example we've ever had of it. What do we think about it? And I think that's quite interesting. Right, Greg Hodgson with his Sigmar Living City Army. He's got an Anointed on foot, who's the general. That means he's going to have some Phoenix Guard. Then he's got 2 Celestial Hurricanums, 2 Luminarchs of Heesh, then he's got 20 Phoenix Guard, 2 lots of 10 Eternal Guard, 2 Celestar Ballisters. So he's looking to, this is super fun as a list. So you can leave this stuff to come off from the sides. He can do a double line of Luminarch Beam, doing D3 mortal wounds across his opponents, because they can kind of scout on 6 inches from the board edge. Hello everyone, Studio J7, big love to you. I think it's less about the points, more about the limitation, 2 units per 3 for pure battle. Alright, Colonel Cabbage, appreciate that. But this is really cool. So then he's going to be able to do that line. He's going to be able to push the Phoenix Guard into the midboard. He's going to be able to shoot the Hurricanums over the top, do more mortal wounds, and then the Ballisters to be able to do shooting at the back. Not forgetting those Phoenix Guard, 320 points. There's 20 of them, but because obviously with that 4 DPR, they're really 40 wounds, bricking it off, which is quite nice. And then those Eternal Guard can just like set up shop at the back of the board, make a lemonade stand on those back objectives, and just kind of like enjoy themselves. I imagine this army is represented by image text figures. Now, my man Forgive, love this guy. Guglil, I can't say it. Guglielmo? Juelmo? Oh, tell me how to say it, please, Forgive. Like, enunciate it for me. I'm so sorry I can't do it. Anyway, Forgive in the chat. He's running Seraphon, so he's running 200 points less than you would for a match play event. 1,800 points. So he's got a Slan, a Saurus Scarvet on Carnosaur. He's got a Stegodon with Skink Chief, who's such a bargain, with Cloak of Feathers and the Sky Street Bow. Love the Stegodon with Skink Chief, really good. And a Skink Priest. Then he's got 10 Saurus Knights, so they're going to be able to get all of the bonuses from the Carnosaur there. Then he's got 10 Skinks, and then he's got the Shadowstrike Temple Host, so that's all in there. Then he's got 20 Skinks, 15 Chameleon Skinks, 3 Pterodon Riders, another Skiing Star Priest in there as well. That's 1,800 points. Now, what's interesting about this is you are not spending money on the Balewind Vortex. You're not spending money on maybe the Spell Portal, which you might also spend as well. So that's already saving you like 130 points because you're not taking the Croaknado. And you're also not taking the Astaroth Bannerbearer as well. I don't think he's taken one. So really you're saving like 300 points by not creating the Croaknado. And also the Slan Starmaster is 60 points cheaper than Croak. So you kind of, by not having the Croaknado, are already 300 points up, which is kind of cool. It's whether or not that's going to push in. And also, like, let's talk about some of the strengths here. Like, we rarely see Pterodon Riders taken, but they're good. Ripidactyls also. It's not that Pterodon Raiders aren't taken all the time. They're just not taken all the time. And you can take bricks of 12, individuals of 3. They trade really nice. They're so cheap. They're 90 points for a flying unit that drops bombs and does mortal wounds. Like, they're good. Chameleon Skinks, obviously, too good. 15 of them for 270 points. Incredible value. But it's so nice to see that whatever nerfs we may eventually see to Seraphon, that they've got loads of ways that they can move their army around. Pterodon Riders still got play. They've still got a bunch of monsters. Stegodons are still pretty boss. So they've got a different playstyle that they can move into at any point. So Semp the Great says, on the note of the stand, it's so less obnoxious due to not having Celestial Deliverance. I agree with you, Semp. That's massively. Studio 7, I'm trying to learn AoS. So this is super handy. Mainly been a 40k dude, but not great at that, and also lose misses. Well, Studio J7, if you want, our man Haywo, I'm going to shout him out because I haven't made any of those sorts of videos yet. Like, it's not like he makes a bunch of kind of get started videos, which are really valuable to watch through on YouTube if you want to go watch them. They give you a kind of good grounding on where some armies are, where the things I talk about generally tend to be like where the meta is at, where it generally moves around. So unless you're kind of like caught up into that conversation, I guess it's a bit of a dunking in the deep end. But like, thanks for listening, and it means a bunch to me. Thank you. Because yeah, like what we're really talking about is like the nuance of like moving 200 points around in the list, which is fascinating for people like me in the Twitch chat and the YouTubers. And if it's interesting to you, I'm super happy. Like, it's really good. But like, if I don't explain stuff enough, please do ask questions. I'd love to be able to explain some of this stuff out. But this is just years of having this conversation time and time again. So sometimes I forget like how immersed I am in it. So hope I can help. Lord Vlad. Hi Rob, just joined. What's the thing with these lists? Some are over 2k, some are under no-name characters. Yes. Some are 2,200, some are 2,000, some are 1,800. No-name characters, and you can't repeat. You can't have more than 3 of the same unit. I think it's 2 of 3. Yeah. Go big or go home. Okay. Well, I'll try to be a bit clearer. So Cities of Sigmar are the most popular army here, and they're running a Tempest Eye list. Tempest Eye is probably the most successful competitive list because you can produce some really good shooting armies out of it. Normally, there's a bunch of different units that work really well, but they pretty much rely on this command trait, Hawk-Eyed, which allows units within range to get +1 to wound, which is pretty massive on all those shooting units. They've also got command ability that allows you to run and shoot, and they also, first turn, they get additional movement. So you can take units that aren't traditionally fast, like Iron Drakes, and then you can make them run, have additional movement, and then still shoot with +1 to wound. So that's generally something we tend to see out of Tempest Eye, and that's why they're so good and why people take them a lot. There are other armies that do really well as well out of Cities of Sigmar, but that's why what you have is you've got the core rules for Cities of Sigmar, and then you've got the sub-faction, which really lifts other units up. It's a nice linear piece of design, to quote my friend Vince, and it works really nicely. Also, +1 save turn 1 is also pretty big, because it stops you getting alphaed, and the alpha is where an opponent runs at you with their army to try to smash you off the board before you even get to play. Right, so he's got the Hurricaneum on Celestial Battle Mage, which is also a really important pick in Cities of Sigmar. We see it all the time because it's got a +1 to hit aura around it. So +1 to hit, +1 to wound for all of that shooting really changes the maths pretty significantly. Then there's a Rune Lord, a Sorceress, so a Dark Elf Sorceress, which is a great War Scroll spell. And then a Knight of Zeros, and then 20 Dark Shards, and then there you go, those 220 units of Iron Drakes, so they're 300 points apiece. But they're really good, really good. And then 30 Phoenix Guard, which are incredible value at 420 points, and then 10 Shadow Warriors, and then they've got the Soul Screen Bridge. You see the bridge taken a lot in some armies, because what they're able to do is take their whole army and then redeploy it somewhere on the board. So it kind of deals with the movement issue as well. Yeah. Plus 1 hit from Hurricaneum is amazing. Also, the Hurricaneum's got one of the best War Scroll spells in the game, probably. Chain Lightning is really good for how the rest of this army plays. Like, it's very disruptive, and you kind of want to shut it down as much as you can. And then also, it's got like a great shooting attack on top. 280 points for the Hurricaneum is just brilliant. Like, it does 3 things really well. It's a buff piece, which is excellent. It's a shooting unit, which is really good, and it's got a very, very potent spell. So yeah, it's a really good. It's weird that one of the scariest things is scary. It's probably not scary, but one of the most successful things in the game is a cart. Some books on it. Right, our man Hippie Chef, whoop whoop. He's running Flesh Eater Courts. Now, Hippie Chef and a bunch of other people have been running this thing, Studio J7, called a Smash Bat, which is a buffed up Vargeist. So it takes a bunch of different buffs and runs across the board, and it just deletes stuff. So the Smash Bat, or the Vargeist Tornado, or whatever it's called, and is in here as well. So I'm pretty certain he's in here. There we go, Janice. That's who it is, the Vargolf Courtier with the bilious decanter. If you go back and listen to some other shows, you'll listen to that being talked about. But he's got an Abhorrent Archregent. He's got the Crypt Infernal Courtier, and then he's got another Vargolf Courtier as well. Then he's got 2 lots of Crypt Flayers, 2 units of Crypt Horrors, 2 units of Crypt Ghouls in the double Royal Mordants Battalion. So he's got an additional 200 points there. Now we know that the win rate for Flesh Eater Courts is quite low. It sits around 40%. That's why it's got this additional 200 points. It gets shot off. What's interesting, if we just kind of have that conversation about the list we just talked about with Tempest Eye, it's going to do so much damage to this army at range that it's not going to do very well. Whereas, what's clever about this is the double battalion means you've got lower drops. You get the choice to go first. Against the Tempest Eye list means you can just send the Smash Bat to just absolutely muller one of those units of Iron Drakes. Maybe go muller the character with the +1 to wound. Maybe go and smash up the Iron Drakes and also the Celestial Hurricane. But that's where that +1 to hit comes in. So that +1 save for Tempest Eye turn 1 is so successful, and why we see it. Right, our man James Beeden running Thunder Lizard Seraphon. Stegging on with Skink Chief, Skink Oracle on Troglodon. Sorry, everyone. Say the Honest Wargamer. What's Nick says, while on the new player topic, just want to say that watching the Honest Wargamer, HW, highly commentated. Do you mean HW? It's not us, maybe. Do you mean highly commentated and verbally annotated TTS Barracks? It's fantastic. The videos out there on how to learn are all well and good, but you learn nothing from nuances on the why X did Y from them. Are you talking about us, what's Nick? I hope that's us. That would be cool if it's us. But yeah, like, I'm glad. Thanks. Well, what's Nick, if it helps you and anyone else who wants to learn, obviously when Super Series is back, and also when Super Series is back, which is live coverage shows, for people who've never interacted with our content, we mainly do live coverage of events, because I guess it's a lot like battle reports, but we have people who play the armies much better than I probably could play them, or any of my co-hosts could play them, but we know what's going on and we can explain it out to the audience. I've always thought it's the best way to learn Warhammer, because I'm watching someone who's really good. Like, I could never play Iron Guts, not Iron Guts, although Iron Guts, I mean the Yetis, more importantly the Ogre War Tribes, like we saw Stuart play the other day. Similarly, I think, who was on the show? Was it Stephen Follows with his Zinch Archeon? Like, I just wouldn't have played as well as Stephen ever would have played. Like, because he's had months to practice and it goes really well. Like, I think the best way for us as a community to learn is watch someone who's good with their army play, and then talk about why it plays that way and how it plays so well. You pick up loads of little tricks as well from how other people play, because if you watch me do battle reps, it's just my playstyle, and I'm quite a cagey castle army player. Like, I like a little castle, shooting out of it, throw some little units away. Like, I'm a jerk, right? Whereas, like, some other people play mega aggro, yeah, or they play, like, hyper defensive, even more so than me. Like, watching Tony play at Sheffield Slaughter, he's stringing units out, and he's pretty much like the aficionado at that point. So this is Tony Moore. Like, there's just some really good stuff. Like, and again, I'll go back to the game between Mark Wildman and JJ. It was a really good conversational game where they were both giving each other options and then both not taking the worst option. Just wargaming's hard to really express, I think, in video format, other than watching people play a game and explaining what's going on. So I'm glad you're enjoying them. And hopefully, loads of that coverage in the future, with events happening here at the TSN Arena, and more to come. So I'm glad you're enjoying it. Thanks, everyone. Anyway, just dropped a sub on your YouTube as well. Thank you. If you are leaving comments in the YouTube, though, be careful. The YouTube gang are... I think they said recently they were like targeting an orphanage. I don't know what the YouTube guys are up to. There's something dark. Like, anyway, I think there's like a protection racket being run by I don't know what they're doing. Anyway, so let's look at this 1800 point Seraphon list here. Me too. Studio J7, I'm mainly a Twitch person. So Seraphon, Thunder Lizard, Stegodon with Skink Chief, really, 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 really good. It's in Thunder Lizards as well, +1 wound on all these models and units. Skink, Oracorn, Troglodon, and the Saurus, Oldblood, and Carnosaur. So I expect to see the Knights, but we didn't see them. Instead, we see 3 units of Saurus Warriors in 10s. Saurus Warriors, I wish they had 2 wounds. Like, I don't get why they don't, but like, yeah, anyway, 90 points. And then they've got a Stegodon. Then you've got the Razordon Hunting Pack and a Bastillodon, and they've got Sunclaw Temple Host and the Thunderquake Temple Host. Now, don't forget, all of these units are going to be -1 damage on most of those weapons. Not really that big a deal in Age of Sigmar compared to 40k, because there are some damage 2 weapons, there's some damage D3 weapons, but it's not quite as prevalent as we generally see in 40k, so it doesn't come into effect as much. And a lot of the major threats out there are just doing 1 damage multiple times. Which is the kind of the major threat. But like James has been running a lot of Seraphon here, and so it's a 2-drop list. Thanks, T-Man Cash. He's been running a lot of Seraphon, and I trust him to know what he's up to. Also, let's talk about the Razordon Hunting Pack. We talk about Salamanders a lot because they're super hyper efficient. They came in at 80 points as well when they first got released, but then they went up to 110. Razordon Hunting Packs are still sat there at 80 points apiece. They've got all of the advantages that the Salamanders still had, where they basically got ablative wounds for the Skink handlers. They've still got that 4-up armor save. They don't quite have the attack profile that they did, but it's just for 240 points. So yeah, 240 points for 3 Razordons. You're getting a lot of output. Like, that's what I'm saying. Thanks, James Bean. Oh, nice. Thanks, James Bean. I really expected to see not the Firelance Star Host in here, because I know you've been running that a lot. But nice to see you put the Sunclaw in there instead. I think that's fun. And then also that double shooting Bastillodon with a solar engine is still just going to do so much work. I guess you're not generating tons of CP here, so like you're not like stacking that all into like double Bastillodon. I think maybe there's an issue. And then you've also got, you've still got great Sky Sheep's bow is like really good. Like, that's additional damage. People don't really see that. And you've got Fiery Convocation to also deal with hordes, which is nice. So I guess you've got like some elite output there. Oh yes, of course, Firelance isn't possible because you capped it 2. That's a really good point. Right, so John Keatley, so he's running an additional 200 points of Sinesh in Godseekers, Keeper of Secrets, Contorted Epitome, 3 lots of 10 Demonettes, and then double Exalted Chariot, so 2 of those, 5 Seekers, 2 units of 5 Bliss Barbs, Seekers as well, so those are the Archer versions, and then Mesmerizing Mirror. Doesn't sound like a lot, like in addition, and I don't think it really is. Having run the Keepers of Secrets, they're nice, they're fast. If you can get them in, they're going to do some really solid work. But yeah, really, you're actually looking... The other armies, like Blades of Khorne or Flesh Eater Courts, giving them additional 200 points is like 200 points of value. Giving Sinesh 200 extra points is just really putting them on par with what a 2,000 point army should look like. Thank you, Tokyo Nift. Hope you're all well. My voice is really going today, guys, so I'm really sorry about this. I don't want to cut it short, but I'm not sure I'm going to be able to talk for the rest. Really struggling today. We've done a lot of hours this week, haven't we? We've done an hour every day and then a couple of hours every evening. So, right, so Gloomspike Gits, they've got an additional 200 points here. Day 2 getting too much. Adrian, when I see you, I'm going to give you the fucking biggest cuddle. Right, Fungoid Cave Shaman twice. Loonboss on Giant Cave Squig. Then he's got 60 Stabbers, another 60 Stabbers, 40 Shooters, definitely getting around that. 2 lots of 6 Sneaky Snufflers, 2 lots of 5 Loon Smasher Fanatics, 5 Spore Splatters, and then 6 Rockgut Trogoths in the Skulk Mob Horde. Right, this is cool. Right, those 60 Stabbers are just nails to deal with. If they get the buffs on them, then they're going to do a lot of damage. and they can be sneaky, snuffled, and spore splattered as well. So an additional +2 attacks you can throw onto the 60 shooters. In fact, you can double sneaky snuffler a unit of stabbers because they don't give a fuck about the mortal wounds that you take, and you can end up with +3 attacks on those stabbers, doing a phenomenal amount of damage. Yeah. Where can I find upcoming events in the arena? Do you know what? I'll include a link in the show notes. I'm going to post, so Wolfen Studios, if you just check on our Twitter today, one of my jobs today is I'm going to post out all of our new events that are coming up, and I'm going to put a link in so people can kind of permanently find them, and I'll include them in the kind of stream notes. So that'll be one of my things today. So Wolfen Studios, just keep our eye on our Twitter, so the Honest Wargamer Twitter. You can find us everywhere. We've got a Facebook page and a Twitter, but we generally tweet the most because we tweet to save lives. That's kind of where we're at. Right, okay. Safe, big safe. Right, I like this list, by the way. This is rock hard Warhammer, by the way. This is 140 bodies in grots, and then you've got an additional 4 MSU units of Loon Smash, or 5, sorry, 2 Loon Smashers, 1 Loon Smashers, 2 Spore Splatters, some Sneaky Snufflers, and then you've got 6 Rockgut Troggoths. It's a lot to move around, but I like that list. I really like that list. That's really good. So then we've got Juka with his Khorne army, and he's got a Bloodthirster of Incessant Rage. He's running Reapers of Vengeance. He's got another Bloodthirster on Infected Fury. Then he's got Wrath of Khorne Bloodthirster, so we generally tend to see most of this combo before. Then he's got Slaughter Priest twice. Of course, he's got a Blood Secretor. Then he's got 40 Blood Reavers, which we rarely see. Then 10 Blood Reavers and 20, a big brick of 20 Blood Warriors, which is 400 points. Not forgetting they fight on death, which I think is really nice. He's gone for that double battalion of Gore Pilgrims and Tyrants of Blood. One of the problems with Khorne, yeah, I agree, Pete. One of the problems that you generally have with Khorne is that they fight. They're slow. Weirdly, they fight in the midfield. They don't really alpha overly. So you have to trade off. But what's nice about the Blood Warriors is obviously the fight on death. It's like a nice trade-off. You can fight on an objective quite nicely. And they're also 2 wounds apiece with a 4-up save. So if you do Bronze Flesh them, that's a pretty phenomenal unit ultimately. 40 wounds with a 3-up save. So yeah, I like this list. I think it's really nice. And again, I think Khorne just need more stuff on the board to enact, especially for like their MSU generating blood tithes situation. And it's 237 wounds. Which one is it? Oh, the Gitz one. Yeah, 237 wounds, man. Yeah, agreed. Right, next one. Leo is doing another Gloom Spike Gitz list. And this is Loon Boss on Mangler Squigs, Loon Boss on Giant Cave Squig, and a Web Spinner Shaman on a Ragnarok, which we see a lot and is very, very good with that Sneaky Distraction spell. Then he's got those 2 units of 15 Boingrots, and then he's got 6 Sneaky Snufflers as always, and then the Mangler Squigs in there as well, and he's running the Moon Jumper Stampede and the Moonbiter Squigalanche. He's also got those Squig Hoppers in there as well. So we've talked about this before, buffing up those Boingrots so they can do some good work, and then having the Web Spinner create some like debuff around him, and he's also a pretty potent wizard. It's a pretty good play. I think this is really good. This isn't quite as taxing as the 140 Grots list, but then because of that is a little bit more fragile ultimately, and those Boingrots they've got to carry a lot in this situation. And I think that's why I prefer the other one. Right, time for a rest. We're doing well. I think Gitz will do well. I think so. Right, our man Aldem. So Leonardo Lopez. So he's running Daughters of Cain, and he's running them at 1,800 points in Drychi Ganeth. He's got a Bloodwrack Shrine. So he's got a Bloodwrack Shrine in there. Let me just double check something, guys. Right, we're all good. Slaughter Queen of Cauldron of Blood, Hag Queen of Bloodwrack Medusa. Then he's got 30 Witch Elves, 10 Witch Elves, and then 10 Bloodstalkers. And then no Morathi, really important. There's no Morathi. And then 5 Canaanite Shadowstalkers. Then he's got both the Bloodwrack Viper and the Heart of Fury. I think probably this is one of the armies that's most affected by no-name characters. Morathi, pretty standard in these, I think. So yeah, it's nice seeing like what else you can get in there without them. And that Bloodwrack Shrine for 160 points. It's very cheap. Arguably too cheap. Right, Tempest Eye. Whoop whoop. With Cities of Sigmar, you've got a Rune Lord, Celestial Hurricaneum on Celestial Battle Mage, Sorceress, and an Engine Master with Engine Harness. So Tempest Eye, everything I said about Tempest Eye applies again. 20 Iron Drakes in here. The Rune Lord is a general, which means all these Iron Drakes are battle line. 10 Longbeards, 10 Dread Spears, and then 10 Arcanaut Company as well. And then you've got 2 units of 3 Aether Wings and those Vanguard Raptors with long strike crossbows, which we see a lot. And then an Ironclad and a Soul Screen Bridge. I don't know, does he need the bridge? I don't think he needs the bridge. He's got enough long range shooting to make people come to him, right? And then the Aether Wings to stop the charge. I guess he could bridge everything and then block stuff up with the Aether Wings, because they can counter charge. These events are for the Thundertome event that's happening at the weekend out now. Then our man Mallow, he's running a Sylvaneth army. They get 2,200 points. He's got a Tree Lord Ancient, who's 260 points. An Arch Revenant, a Branch Wraith, and another Branch Wraith. And then he's got 30 Dryads, 2 lots of 10 Dryads, 2 lots of 5 Tree Revenants, and then he's gone for those 2 units of 6 Kurnothi Hunters in the Forest Folk Battalion, and he's got that Spite Swarm Hive. So we know Math Mallow's been doing pretty well already with his Sylvaneth in Dreadwood. That teleport really key, and then being able to use the Spite Swarm Hive for the extra charge range is pretty much, you basically pick up 6 Hunters, and then you just throw them forward, and then you try and get the charge off. And then you give them the plus attacks from the Arch Revenant. You don't get much more in this list, I guess. I guess he's just trying to hold those back objectives, looking for those extra points. Then Matt Grace has got a Flesh Eater Courts list, which I can't read. I'm not reading that. Matt Trown. Like if it's not at least looking like this, I'm not reading it. Matt Trown, he's got Snesh, so additional 200 points, so they're running 2,200. He's got Keeper of Secrets again, another Keeper of Secrets, and he's got the Oil of Exaltation, which you see pretty much all the time. And then he's got the Infernal Enrapturous as well, and then the Vice Leader. And he's got 3 lots of 10 Demonettes, 10 Blissbarb Seekers, and then 5 Seekers, 5 Blissbarb Seekers, Supreme Cyberites, and the Mesmerizing Mirror. So all those characters in the Supreme Cyberites to get the drops down, which I think is quite a nice little play. Not really much to say about this. The additional points could have been anywhere. There's 5 Blissbarb Seekers taken as utility, the Supreme Cyberites battalion, but I think he's built it around that. I think he's gone, I want the Supreme Cyberites battalion first. So yeah, I mean, you literally can pick out any one thing, and that's what the 200 points were spent on. I don't think it's been able to change the structure of the list here. Is this the first time the Vice Leader has ever been taken to a tournament? Maybe. Right, so Matt Kranz with his Living City list. He's got a Dreadlord and Black Dragon, so this is a 2,000 point list. Anointed Vasorian of Frostheart Phoenix. And he's got 3 Drakespawn Chariots twice. He's got those 23 Guild Guard with Swords and Shields, and then 33 Guild Handgunners. Then he's got those 2 units of 3 Kurnoth Hunters with great swords, and then a Gyrocopter in the list. So Living City, don't forget these units when they come on, they can shoot and then they can move. So that Dreadlord and Black Dragon could do it because he's I think he's got the repeater crossbow, so he can shoot and then move, and you can throw him into your opponent. The Anointed of Assyrian or Frostheart Phoenix doesn't, but he's got that -1 to wound aura that he can throw out as well, so he can protect like a big line of units. Drakespawn Chariots are going to do a bunch of shooting there. Next up, Mitch with his Slaves to Darkness army, who are in 2,000 point category. My throat's wrecked today, boys. I'm going to go get some Horlicks or something. I don't know what cures it. I always drink honey in my tea now.
Oh.
Have done for a couple of years as a way to try and help the voice. It's always done pretty well. Guess just haven't had enough cups of tea. That's what I think. Yeah, horsey throat. Oh, for fuck's sake. Right. Slaves to Darkness, Mitch. Knights of the Empty Throne. He's doing the big brick. And this is a really, really cool little, like, hey, Henry, hope you're well, man. This is cool. So, the reason we don't normally see the 9 Empty Throne Vanguard with the Inescapable Doom, the Grasping Plate, and keyword Nurgle that we see, we've seen it run at some tournaments, but we always saw them go in the sword, because Archaon can stick a character in the sword. In Knights of the Empty Throne, Vanguard go from being choices just in your army, they go to being characters, and then with a command trait, which you can't run away from, and then a 6-inch piling because of Grasping Plate, that's why they're so strong. Now, with no Archaon, 9 Knights of the Empty Throne Varangard are horrific to deal with because they're going to have reroll saves from the Chaos Sorcerer Lord on Manticore because of oracular visions. They're also going to generate damage 2 on 6s to wound because they're inside their own aura for the Mark of Nurgle. They're really good, is what I'm trying to say. And they're 840 points. Can we bet on lists? I want to bet stonks on 9 times Varangard. Yeah. There's also 3 lots of Chaos Warriors as battle line. 1 all marked Nurgle, and then there is, of course, 2 Chaos War Shrines and the Plague Touch Warband. The other thing, of course, just time to just roll 6s to hit. Thank you very much, Pete. Loads of love. Appreciate that loads. Thank you. There is one near me. Nikita. So I love this list. Plague Touch Warband, 6s to hit. When battalions go away, everyone's going to be very sad about that Plague Touch Warband going away. Nikita Petriov has got some stuff in here that's fleshy at courts, but I can't read it. So Oliver Dempsey is running Dirty Mike and the Boys, which is a Sons of Behemoth list, which is a Gatebreaker Mega Gargant, and then it's a Kraken Eater Mega Gargant, and it's 2 lots of 3 Man Crushers. Are we short something? No, that's right. Okay, interesting. And that's coming out of the Breaker Tribe. Okay, I don't really ever have much to say about Gargants. Like, they'll run forward, that's cool. Like, let's see how it goes. Sure. Like, good luck, though. Good luck, Oliver. That's not me being dismissive, I promise. I just don't have anything to say. You'll run forward and get on objectives, or you won't. End convo. Right, Orkman with his big War army. He's got a Mega Boss and War Crusher. He's got a Wurgog Prophet, 2 War Docs, and an Uruk War Chanter. And then he's got 30 Savage Uruks, 30 Savage Uruk Arrow Boys, and then 5 Brutes, 5 Savage Boar Boys, and 10 Savage Uruk Moor Boys. Doesn't have any of the allied grots we see him run before. Orkman's a bit of a savant, a bit like our man Stuart McCowan, so Iron Gutsman, a bit like most of the Twitch chat, like Tavi Gain. There's a bunch of great people at this event, and people who just know what they're about. Yeah, like, he would know this list better than me, but I think, like, you know, if you're talking about those Savage Uruk Arrow Boys and the Savage Uruks, that's a lot of wounds in this. It's 208 wounds for a big old DPS check. And then that Mega Boss and War Crusher getting buffed up to the high heavens will do some really good work, ultimately. No extra command points at 1940. Who's done that? No extra command points at 1940 from Oliver Dempsey. Going for that. Going for the triumph there. That's big plays. Well done. Big love on that. Tavi, we'll see how you feel about mine. Okay, let's go. So Ryan Agwis is running a Sylvaneth army. Oh man, don't make me read it like this. An Ancient, Spirit of Durthu, 2 Branch Wraiths, Arch Rev, 3 times 10 Dryads, 2 Colonel Hunters units that are 6s with scythes, and then Forest Folk. Okay, so not too different from what we saw from Math Mallow. I mean, having the Spirit of Durthu in there is cool. Another threat, because I think that's one of the things Math Mallow's list doesn't have. He's got the 30 Dryads, which are they Spirit of Durthu versus the 2 units of Colonel Hunters, and you're running scythes. But scythes generally seen, but you're taking Gnarl Root. Oh my god. No. I'm out. I'm out. Right. Sexual Asia Go. He's running a Khorne list with the Gore Tide. He's got a Bloodstoker, Slaughter Priest, Skull Grinder. Wow. And then he's got a Blood Secretor, and then he's got, holy shit, 40 Blood Reavers, 40 Blood Reavers, 40 Blood Reavers. Oh baby, let's go. He's got Blood Secretor, nice, because they still get the +2 attacks from Totem and from a banner, because that's a lot. But then he's got 2 lots of 5 Blood Warriors, 2 lots of 10 Wrathmongers for the additional attacks. Wow, so up to +3 attacks on the Blood Reavers, kicking them out. What's that? Do they have 2 base? So is that 5 each? Wow. In the Dark Feast and the Blood Forged. Nice. And he's also got the Hexgorger Skulls. They got 1 base. Thank you. So 4 attacks per. I think it's +4. Nice. So it's +1 from Banner and also from a Totem. And then +1 from Wrathmongers is an additional 3. And there's an additional 1. That's interesting. But, like, that's a lot of attacks coming out of those Blood Reavers. Like, a lot. I'm +1 from the battalion. Thank you. Yeah, and 2+10 Wrathmongers is big. That's really big. That's fun. That's a lot of wounds. That's a lot of wounds as well, right? Like, 221 wounds in that list. In a double battalion with the Hex Gorgeous Skulls as well. Nice. Really like that. That would look amazing on the tabletop as well. Like, that will look cool as hell. Just like wave, just like a billion attacks. Really like that list. That's nice. Right, Stathis is running a Livid City list with a Nomad Prince. Okay. For people wondering why someone like Rob would be laughing about a Nomad Prince, like, if the laughter doesn't tell the story, then I'm not explaining it out. But well, the Celestial Hurricane of our Battle Mage, he's got 30 Dark Shards, two lots of 20 Sisters of the Watch. Okay, they have a stand and shoot reaction. It's a lot of shots. It's a lot of shots with the 30 Dark Shards included. Then the 6 Vanguard Raptors with long strike crossbows and the 3 Aether Wings, and then another Hurricaneum. So he's got 2+1 to hit auras rocking around. Wow. Okay. Like, so really, if I can shoot you twice, army, it's going to do great. I mean, if having the Nomad Prince of the General allows him to take the Sisters of Watch's battle line. So he's, like, super points efficient there. Okay. Fascinating. Yes, Iron Gutsman! Gluttons 2, the Electric Boogaloo. What? Flesh Eater Courts? What? So he's running Feast Day with a Crypthaunt Courtier, Vargolf Courtier, Abhorrent Ghoul King and Royal Terrorgeist, and then he's got the Abhorrent Art Regent as well. He's got 9 Crypt Horrors, 6 Crypt Horrors, 10 Crypt Ghouls, 6 Crypt Flayers, running Royal Mordants in Chalice of Ushran. Is this just... 9 Crypt Horrors is pretty unique. You don't really tend to see 9 Crypt Horrors. And you can bring them back, right, because of the Arc Regent? Not the Arc Regent, the Courtier. What's everyone in the chat saying? But that's crazy. That's really cool. Like, I like that. Big brick in the center. Big smash bat as well. Shut up, Tristan. Yeah, I like that list. I think there's probably more in that list that I'm not seeing. This is my anti-bone splitter build. Is this just to chew through as many wounds as possible? Is that the plan? Just to pump them? Answer me that, please. Tavi Gaines list has got a Seraphon Fangs of Sotek list with a Slan, Skink Star Priest, Skink Priest, and a Pterodon Chief. He's got 30 Skinks and 40 Skinks, 5 Saurus Guard to make sure Slan Starmaster stays alive. He's got 3 Salamanders, 6 Pterodon Riders, and 10 Chameleon Skinks, and then he's got the Bound Geminids of Ulguish. Let's talk about that. That's 1,800 points only, and it feels pretty competent. Got the Slan, so you can generate CP. Pterodon Chief has got that God Dagger, so you can try and snipe a character out, or even a monster. He's got the 10 Chameleon Skinks, which will do great work. The Pterodon Riders with the Sunleech Bowlers will go mad, because the exploding 6s from the Star Priest also affects not only their melee attacks, but also for some reason their Sunleech Bowlers, which 6s to hit explode into D6 hits, and then it's 6s to wound, cause mortal wounds. And the 6 Pterodon Riders is only 180 points, and why someone hasn't, as of yet, run 36 Pterodons, I don't know why, but you can, and it's a list. Like, we keep seeing the bricks of 40 buffed up with 6s do mortal wounds, but I just don't know why some people don't. I know it's more efficient to do it on 40 Skinks, but it's pretty fun to do it on bricks of Pterodon Riders. So I'm excited for that. You can see like where he's just lost a few points, but even look at that. Even the FAQ'd Salamander hunting pack at 330, even in like 200 point short army, he's still got room, or still thinks he's still certain that he can fit those Salamanders in, which are a horrific punch unit, and he's just got that. He's even like, do you know what? I'm still going to spend 100 points to keep my Slan alive with the Saurus Guard. So hold my beer next tourney. I'll run for Pterodon. Yes, forgive. I want to see the Pterodon list, please. Tumankash says, such a diverse book, honestly, once you remove Croak as an option, I agree with you loads. Where is the Wood Elves? They're not here. Iron Gutsman, can't this list just kill 9 Varigard in a turn? Yeah, I'd say so. I mean, because you can do it all from shooting as well. You don't have to get into combat with them and do the work that way. Anyway. Right, lastly, Sons of Behemoth, run by Thomas Waller. He's running Gatebreaker, Kraken, and 3 Man Crushers in a single unit. He's got 1950 and hasn't decided to buy a command point, looking for that cheeky point. Tiger Sloth's running a Khorne army with Chaos Lord and Karkadrak. Nice. Who's the general and he's all buffed up. Another Chaos Lord and Kark. Safe starting as Demon Prince, Mark Khorne, which is cool. Slaughter Priest, Blood Secretor, and a Blood Soaker. Then he's got 20 Chaos Warriors with, wow. And then another 20 Chaos Marauders, 10 Blood Reavers, 10 Blood Reavers, 5 Chaos Knights, 5 Wrathmongers, Chaos War Shrine, Hex Gorgeous Skulls, and a Wrath Axe. So he's got a lot in there, hasn't he? There's 20 Chaos Warriors at 360 points, rerolling their saves in Khorne. It's quite a nice centre. It's quite a nice centre to build your list around. I don't really know where the output comes. I guess the Chaos Marauders? Chaos Lord of Karkadrak can slap. Like, he can't slap whole units, but he can do some good work. Right, finally, Skaven. Finally? No. Second to last. Skaven Tide, Tobias Schwartz. Skaven are at 2,000 points, and he's got a Warlock Bombardier, Warp Seer at 320, and a Claw Lord. The Bombardier is the general. And he's got those 20 Clan Rats twice, and then 40 Storm Vermin. 40 Storm Vermin are really nice. They're a bit tough to move around, but they're decent. Then 20 Scryer Acolytes is an amazing unit, 200 points. Then 12 Warplock Jezzails is horrific with that extra command point. So more warp power on those guys, on the Scryer Acolytes, or on the Warplock Jezzails. They're going to absolutely smash. So it's a big meaty wall in the Clan Rats. You've got a fighting unit in the Storm Vermin. You've got a good wizard in the Verminal Warp Seer. Really like that list. I think that's really nice. And Skaven only on a 40% win rate at the minute, so they really need to they need to find some way of playing, I think. And then Will Potter, whoop whoop, go Will. Last list of the day, another Bone Splitters list. I didn't see any. Oh, but there are 4 Bone Splitters armies. So he's got Big Boss, Prophet, Wardock, and then he's got 20 Savage Uruk Araboys, 30 Savage Uruks, and then he's got another 30 Savage Uruks. So he's got a lot of fucking wounds in this list. 230 wounds. He's still got that Rogue Idol. Not forgetting that he's got 2,200 points. So the Rogue Idol obviously can throw off and smash. He can take the midboard pretty heavily with those 60 wounds of Savage Uruks, not including the 40 wounds of Savage Uruk Araboys that are in there as well. And then he's still got a unit of 4 big stabbers that he can just throw over the top and punch stuff with. So really strong. I really like reading the list without name characters, if I'm honest. I really like that vibe. I think it's pretty good. Yeah, what do you all think? Give me a kind of TLDR. I think one of the interesting things is not reading the name characters, I would say. What I find, I guess, quite interesting is reading the lists and not, you're like, okay, these have got an extra 200 points. But it didn't seem to make lots of difference to some of the lists. Let's talk about the fact Nighthaunt have had no lists there with an additional 200 points. It's pretty bonkers. That's pretty bonkers. Almost everyone else did. In fact, yeah, everyone else in the 2,200 point category got a list, but no Nighthaunt with an additional 200 points. This whole event is a DPS check, says Colonel Cabbage. Yes, it definitely is. Can you do the damage in the output from some of your armies? No Be'lakor book was so bad for Nighthaunt as well, says Forgive. I think that's fair. It's nice to see Rotguts pop up more with extra points for Gits. I think that's a fair point. I think Rotguts just need to be a little bit cheaper, for what they do. Because you can't really stack any, the Rotguts are fine, but you can't stack any buffs on them, where other units are cheaper and you can stack buffs on top. And I guess that's kind of key. You don't really get to apply a lot of buffs to a lot of the Git stuff. You do, but where you can, that's where you're really pigeonholed to. It really doesn't seem like too much difference as Tristan. I think I'm okay with that. I agree. My Jackfoot will kill all turning off after saves, I hope, says Potter tries to paint. Alright, buddy. I'm excited about that. I want to see that happen. There aren't many after damage saves here, though. There aren't any Fire Slayers at minus 200 points. There were no Tzeentch list at minus 200 points. No Deepkin list at minus 200 points. No Kharadron Overlord armies at minus 200 points. No Lumineth Realm Lords, I think, without any named characters is really what the issue is there, but we're at minus 200 points. Only one, no more tribes lists, were there? No more tribes lists at minus 200 points. So there was 1 Daughters of Cain list, 3 Seraphon lists, with the only 1,800 point armies that turned up. Seven the Great says, I'm a huge fan. This pretty much looks like a fun games all over and less chance of complete face rolls. Yeah, okay. A Lumineth and no Techless book is bad. I would agree. Although I would say, actually, Techless, we did the Stat Center, man. Techless isn't doing well. Maybe people don't know how to play Lumineth very well, but Techless isn't doing well. I think the Lumineth players need to readdress. They need to not build Techlian builds, I would argue. I think I want to see no Techless Lumineth lists. I think they're going to do better long term. That's what I think. No, the Techless book with the new units. Oh, yes. Well, I mean, even with the new Techless book, I think you should take Techless out of the Lumineth, is where I'm currently at the minute. Learn, Train, Play. Just if you've just joined us very quickly, there are 3 tiers. Some of the books were allowed 2,200 point lists, some were allowed 2,000 points, and some were allowed 1,800 points, and those are the lists. I'll put the link to the list in the chat, and then I'll also get them fired off so the YouTube thugs don't come and murder me into the YouTube comments and also into the podcast link as well, so if you guys want to check it out for yourselves. Right. We're going. I appreciate you hanging out with me for lunch. It's been great on Stream Street Day 423. Or whatever the hell it is. Season 2. And then, thank you to everyone on Patreon, the YouTube thugs, the podcast Hydro Homies. You guys are phenomenal. That's obviously good. Draw the thing. What do you mean draw the thing? Am I allowed to draw the thing? I don't know if I'm allowed to do the thing. Did everyone say I could? He did not. So I can't. I won't. So... don't forget to join us at 5:30 today. 5:30 UK time, so like 3.5 hours, 4.5 hours, whatever the math is on that, for the 40k reveal stream from Games Workshop. That's going to be really fun. Yeah, it's going to be hype. We'll get really excited for that. Thank you to all of you. Thank you to everyone. Like loads of love. Tomorrow we'll be here, and it's going to be great. Love you all. See you later.